you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and a hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Hello, and
Hi.
welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. We broadcast live on the first Thursday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube or Facebook to watch the broadcast live and join the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show on your favorite podcast player.
In this episode, we'll be chatting about our recent travel challenge caching experiences. We also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and you could be a winner.
And later in the show, we also play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges. So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow instructions when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning the grand prize, a 1-year membership to Project GC. We are your hosts, Emily, that side, and Geoff from Cache the Line. We are
Hi.
happy to be here once again. Yes. I just came back from a week and a half of 2 vacations, so I'm kind of very strapped for time. So it's going to be a fun night tonight.
We're just flying tonight. I've been back for maybe 3 days now, but yeah, I'm fresh off vacation too. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're full of excitement from what we've just done lately. Geoff, can you turn up your volume? Lots of people in the chat are asking.
I will do that just now. So we want to also remind everybody about the GTN 45 challenge that Geocache Talk Network has put to you. And I know, Emily, you've been sharing a lot about your process on social media. How far are you now?
Right. So I think to finish, I need 4 more, what are they calling it? Fitness caches, fitness experiences. And I need to stock 4 caches with swag. I've stocked my own. But honestly, when I go on vacation, I have to pick and choose, and I don't pack too much swag with me. So I need to do some of that locally.
Mm-hmm. And for anybody who hasn't yet heard of it, if you're listening for the first time or you just missed the announcement, the GTN 45 is a collection of a whole bunch of challenges that we're putting out to you for the fun of it. And the first one is to attend 1 event. The second is to hide 2 caches. The third one is to start 3 challenges. Fourth one, stock 4 caches, so bring swag and restock for people. And number 5 is to solve 5 puzzles. And the 6th is to find 6 fitness caches. Altogether, 45 finds in order to complete the challenge.
It's a great challenge. It gets us off our couches. Maybe we've done a little bit too much of that lately, but it is nice. It's been nice to get out and do things, and this gives us a targeted thing to do with our time.
Yeah. And it's good because what we're talking about tonight is traveling and looking for challenges, and this is another great opportunity to look for qualifying activities and geocaches, even towards the GTN 45. You can email any of your challenge caching questions, big or small, to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com, challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. Every show, we like to update our challenge caching statistics from Project GC. They have a little box on their website that provides information about the current status of all of their challenge caching challenge checker scripts on the website. And as of late, well, maybe about just under an hour ago, the number of active scripts, that is the scripts that handle all of the challenge checking algorithms, are up to 6,634, which is up 152 from last month. There are 37,303 unique challenges. Those are the different parameter sets. So there could be multiple caches that all have the same parameter sets in different regions. So these are unique challenges, and that's up 402 from last month. And we have 45,522 active tags, and those are the unique checkers by GC code. So any number of caches could be duplicates, but there are active GC tags. That's up 559 from last month. So we're getting a whole bunch more. That's good.
Yeah,
Challenge
good.
caching is
Very
still
good.
growing. And as of, or the search from the geocaching.com website, searching by challenge cache attributes, we are now at 31,694 active challenge cache listings worldwide, which is up 209 from last month. So
Good.
that's the net change. There could be archivals and all that for whatever reason. We're still going up 200. So news from last month. Not too much has happened, it seems, but there is one big announcement.
Yeah, for our
Geocache
network.
Talk. Yeah. We have 2,000 subscribers on the Geocache Talk network.
All right.
If you haven't
Thank
subscribed
you,
and you're watching
everyone.
right now, yeah, make that 2,000 and, oh, what's the current? I haven't checked to see what the current subscriber
I didn't
count
check either.
is. But it is far above 2,000 now, so it's still ticking up, which is awesome.
Yeah, thank
If
you
you're
everyone for subscribing to the network, for being involved with us, for being here live. I saw in the chat we have a number of people who are tuning in to Challenge Talk live for the first time, so we're glad to have you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, and Geocache Talk Network has quite a number of different topical shows, and Challenge Talk is the only one that's once a month. So we're thankful for everybody who tunes in to enjoy the challenging topics that we discuss.
That's right. Thank you.
They have also begun a brand new souvenir challenge, the Reach the Peak Challenge. This one is going to be going on for 12 months, I believe it was.
Maybe 7. I forget.
7 months? It was until 2022.
Until March 6th, 2022.
Yes. So almost a year. And this one, see, personally, well, what do you think about this souvenir? Do you like the idea of this one?
I like the idea. I like how they always try to come up with something new, a new theme to get us excited. At first, it's kind of like, wait a minute, I have to find like a random number to reach the peak, but I get it because the peaks are different heights. So just keeping track of large numbers of points versus maybe 1 or 5 or 10 points. I'm going to have to keep checking in. I'm not sure I'm going to remember in my head how many points I have for each month. Yeah. But I like it. I'm always into their challenges.
Yeah, for sure. It gives us new goals, new motivation. I like it because I like the theme that they chose for this one, even though we're not actually necessarily physically climbing mountains. And we're still, the theme is able to change the amount of points every month as well. So you're actually trying to achieve different totals each month. So it's not like there's one goal and you're trying to get the goal. Now you've got...
Right. And they're assigning points in a different way each month, right? So we're not going to just have a repeat of the last month to get the points again. So they're promoting all aspects of geocaching.
Yeah, a few months down the line, if everybody easily completes these souvenir challenges, they might actually give bonus points for people who find terrain 4.5 caches with a high difficulty. Or maybe if they have regional stuff, they might actually reward points for finding caches that have high altitudes. Who knows? That we don't know what the makeup of the point earning list is going to be.
We'll
months down the
see.
line.
And this is a challenge that features the leaderboard. So any of your friends, an official geocaching.com friend, can be seen on how they're doing and how you stack up against them. So if you haven't officially made friends with other geocachers on the website, it's a good time to do that to see how you compare.
Right. And yeah, I'm just checking out what my leaderboard is like right now, and it's not all that well, there are a few people who have found quite a few caches, and with the makeup this month, including Adventure Labs and multi-caches, some people have a really high score. I'm down at 325.
I haven't even logged my one cache that I found since it started, so I look like I'm at 0, but I've only found one cache since it started. So yeah, I think I have 325. Whatever it is to reach base camp is what I have. It seems like every time there's a new challenge, someone has skyrocketed to the top from the very first day. So there's all kinds of levels of participation.
Yeah, and they've got like gold, silver, and bronze icons for
little gold, silver, and bronze carabiners. Yeah, that's cute.
I do have quite a number of drafts in the queue ready to post, and that's going to increase some numbers.
Oh, I did so much caching on August 1st, and none of it counts for this promotion. So just one so far.
Yeah, we will get there. Another really cool announcement that came out of Canada this past month. If you recall, the Adventure Lab series along the Lincoln Highway was released recently, and they're off. And we now have a new Adventure Lab series in Canada along the Trans-Canada Highway, the Trans-Canada Highway Adventure Lab series.
Wonderful.
And, and it's going from East Coast to West Coast. It's going to be huge.
Cool. Are we going to have an interview on that on Geocache Talk sometime soon? Probably.
I'm sure we can look into getting the people involved
can tune into that and hear how it's going and what it's all about.
Yep, there's a great team set up and organizing everybody across the country to their own regions manage everybody who can get and publish Adventure Labs. It's a lot of work. But it'll be cool once it's done.
Yeah. People are loving the Lincoln Highway, and now you get your own. Very good.
Mm-hmm. And the Trans-Canada Highway is huge. It literally goes from East Coast to West Coast, and there's a couple of offshoots and branches. And so I'd love to see if anybody completes the entire Trans-Canada Highway.
Oh, someone's going to.
In one trip. Yeah, there's going to be someone.
Someone is going to do this. Yeah.
So our topic for this month is challenge caching on the road. And I think we both love traveling.
Yes.
And so if we're doing challenge caches, then that is one of our primary goals while we're traveling. And so planning to find challenge caches and qualify for challenge caches, even just that act kind of is a way of planning the trip.
Oh yeah, I spent weeks before my trip going through the map, finding what I could do. Do I qualify? What do I need to do to finish? Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a whole part of my process.
So where was your recent vacation or geo vacation?
Yes. So I went to 2 different locations on my vacation. First of all, I went to Fargo-Moorhead to do the Fargo-Moorhead Geo Tour, which is kind of in and of itself a challenge, find this certain set of geocaches. That was just an awesome city. I enjoyed it. It was a wonderful art scene, wonderful art in the geocache tour, in the tour. So it was amazing. I got to meet Gia. I got to meet Chad Tricashius, who then after the Geo Tour, I went up to the Gilby area to do a lot of his. Chad's in our chat room tonight. Chad, you might have seen, I'm still logging your caches. I'm almost done. There's just so much that I did on my vacation that I'm still catching up. It was just amazing full days. And so while I was in Moorhead, I got a lot of challenges in that area. There seemed to be a lot of, now I can't remember. I know you and Jesse have called it something before, like a step up. So there would be series. One of the ones I saw that was neat was how many caches have you found by different reviewers? And so it was steps of 3. And I think it was clear up to 33. So 3, 6, 9 different reviewers and on up. So I assigned as many of those as I could. There was a whole series of filling in whole months, January to December. So let me see. That was some of the themed string of challenges I found. And then, some other fun ones, 26 cache owners for the 26 letters of the alphabet. And that was actually one of my very first statistical accomplishments way years ago that I definitely tried to fill in. So that kind of brought me back to long ago when I used to live in Pennsylvania, and I got that done. And then there was a few like different countries, different continents, a certain number of states. And then I remember there was one challenge. We were exhausted. We were running out of light, but I wasn't going to let that one go. I had to get my name on that log because it was a bookmarking challenge from long ago, pre-moratorium. And it was Noah's Ark challenge. So I had to find a certain number of caches in pairs of 2, whatever animals I chose out of my list. So like 2 caches with moose in the name, 2 caches with bears in the name, and so on. And so since I did all that bookkeeping work, I had to get my name on that log, even though we were looking after dark and feeling kind of awkward about our location. But it was fun. So that's what I did in Minnesota. And then I went on to Utah to spend some time with family. And while I was there, if you recall, back in February, I was working on it was called a Towns Around Here challenge. Again, pre-moratorium. You had to find a cache in one of each of the towns that the cache owner chose in his county. And I went for a cache, DNF'd it, and never connected the dots that because I DNF'd the cache, I needed to find another one in that town. So I had every cache in every town except for one. So this past trip, I went up to that town and got that finished. So not only did I get that one cache, but immediately it qualified me for that challenge. So that felt good to avenge that challenge mistake and in a place that I couldn't easily fix. And then I found a little park with a lot of diamond level achievements. So this is the Project GC badges. And so so it was diamond level fizzy matrix, diamond level 366 calendar, diamond level attributes achieved. There was a 365 streak. I will never qualify for that, but I signed the log and so on. So I found that little pocket of caches while I was in Utah as well. So, I just looked for whatever I could find and got my name on a lot of challenge logs this trip.
That's a lot of planning for all of those tasks.
It is a lot of planning, especially and even I was planning for my parents. I when I travel with them, I try not to be exclusive, and so I was hoping that they would qualify for a lot of the ones I did too, because we cached together so much, and luckily they did. So I wanted them to have a good time and not just be signing a bunch of logs for caches they couldn't claim yet.
Yeah, right. And just to touch on one thing you mentioned, those Project GC badges. If you aren't aware, on projectgc.com, you can go to your account profile statistics. So on projectgc.com, in the header under profile, statistics, general profile stats, it will take you to the page where you can look up, anyone's profile, but yours by default. When you scroll down to the Badge Gen tab, you'll get that list of all of the badges that Project GC has statistically awarded you. And a lot of people look at this. I don't often look at it, but there are some statistics that are fairly challenging to accomplish. And those are usually those little tags on the side of the larger badges They're like little extra bonuses.
Yeah, they're like right add-ons. I haven't looked at them for
crossover
a while,
statistics.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. Because there's always
Like
another layer you can add to this. You can
yeah.
always challenge harder.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just the one badge. It's getting 81 grid of traditional caches instead of just a fizzy grid or FTF. I can't remember what the FTF one is. I think that's a certain number of FTFs. I can't remember. They have the information about all of what they all mean on their website as well. There's a lot of stuff to look into, but if you love earning badges and achievements, then this is a list you want to look at.
Right, right. And it's, a lot of those are very acceptable types of challenges to hide these days.
Yeah.
So it really, if you're looking to start somewhere, need an idea, check out the badges.
Yeah, and because they award them in difficulty levels, those different tiers, then they're certainly much more accessible than just earning smileys for really difficult challenges.
Yeah, and then you can hide tier challenges too.
Right. Oh, yes. You can, if you were to hide 3 caches, for example, you can hide a bronze, silver, and gold just to give people different, with different statistical accomplishments, the ability to have harder challenges. So, yeah, that was a long road trip. You got to Utah. I really want to get to Utah.
Oh, I love Utah. I'm so glad I have family there, so I visit several times a year.
There are just some absolutely amazing locations down there.
Yes.
Pandemic. Looking back, there was so Gary B asked, anyone have the GC code for the GTN 45 challenge? It's technically not a geocache listing. It's something that the network has put forward to the community. So there's no geocache listing for it. And I think there was another comment, but I guess we'll get back to that. So that was your trip. I literally just walked in the door an hour before this show. I did a road trip, kind of like you. I had a few days before this trip to just have my own little vacation. Didn't do any caching except for a couple of minor things, but there's always geocaching.
There's always geocaching, right? No brainer.
Yeah, but then I came home and then I headed out right away again for this road trip, which was another epic adventure out to northwest Ontario, where right now there are some forest fires burning, and it's creating this surreal cloud of smoke that's just billowing across northwestern Ontario. So this road trip, it was about 2 days up to get there and 2 days back. And as you're heading over there, the smoke was getting thicker and thicker. It was like a hued fog. We don't have this often in Ontario because we have a very natural, warm, moist climate over here. So we don't get a lot of fires, but there's been a heat wave and drought over in the west. So that Manitoba, Ontario region has been dealing with that. So it was a different experience. But this road trip, like you were saying, planning for caches along there towards challenges, looking for challenges, personal goals, all of that stuff. And I didn't get nearly as many caches, I think, as you probably did. But that's mainly because it really is about a 2-day road trip to get to our destination. And it was fairly packed and intense. I don't think I could have fit anything else into that road trip. I just barely got back in time as it was.
Right.
And I am in dire need of sleep. But looking along there, so it's not the first time I've taken that route. It's a gorgeous, wonderful route. Most of it is on the Trans-Canada Highway, where there will be loads of adventure labs, almost certainly highlighting all of these locations that there are already earth caches and physical caches and virtual waypoints, all that stuff along here. It's going to be quite the trip. But so looking for caches that I hadn't yet found that were must-find caches. I went looking for just a couple of self-proclaimed world's most sorts of caches. One of them was the world's easiest geocache.
All right. So
Which-
what's that?
Well, spoiler alert. So in Ontario, because we're right next to Quebec, there's a lot. French is the second language, so we have a lot of signs, especially in the north, have English and French. So when you're driving along a country road, you might have a hidden entrance, hidden driveway sign coming up around a bend. So in that area, not down south where I'm at, but apparently up there, there are a lot of these signs. But it's not just hidden driveway; it's hidden in French is caché, and masculine or feminine is with the accent, one or two e's, whatnot. But if you look at it on those signs, there's hidden English and caché below it.
Love
And so-
it.
Yeah, and so it's just
That's
pointing right at the
amazing.
cache. So there will be videos. All of this trip there were videos. So there's a whole series that's going to be coming out on Cache the Line for this road trip, and that's going to be one of them.
Good. All right. Can't wait.
There was also the world's largest TB dog tag, travel bug dog tag. I mean, because they're self-proclaimed, they may or may not be. I don't know, but they say that they are the world's largest dog tag. I know Cache Canada has already done a video on that one, and I've got one coming up now as well. There's also one. So some of these you're not really earning anything for. There's one that I wanted to get that I targeted, the northernmost challenge in Ontario. I was skeptical about that. I saw the time like, really? Northernmost? I didn't think it was all that far north, but I did a search for challenges, active challenges in Ontario, and sure enough, there was nothing on a more northerly latitude than this challenge cache. So of course I had to get it.
Yeah. Cool.
And the nice thing about that one was it was on the same trail as a California Fizzy DT that I needed. And this was a 4.5 September 2004 cache, and out after a long hike. It was about a 5K hike to get to it. And, California Fizzies, we've mentioned it before. It's the first challenge that was really put out to people where you've got to complete a fizzy, but this was long pre-moratorium. So it has that date restriction where all the caches have to be published before that challenge cache. That means that no new caches can fill those missing DT grid spots. So these date-restricted challenges, while grandfathered, are going to only get harder and harder and harder over time.
Absolutely.
As all the qualifying caches
Yeah.
slowly get archived. So with my grid, I'm still trying to complete it. And this one, I think there were 2 or 3 maybe qualifiers in Ontario that I could look for. But this was like right on the route and on the same trail as this challenge cache. So had to target them both. They were on the list.
Awesome.
Another one that probably could be fairly common amongst the states wherever you live and provinces is to find the oldest active cache in each county in your region. And I know looking at some of you do your county challenges in the U.S., your states relative to Ontario are kind of small, and you've got a whole lot of counties in your states, and there's a lot of counties, but it's not a whole lot of driving. Whereas in Ontario, you've got to drive 2.5 to 3 days to get from one end to the other.
I thought you were going to say maybe hours, but you just said days.
Yeah. So this is another example of when you're on a road trip, you don't want to miss the opportunity to get some of these obviously rare caches because there's only one that's the oldest active. So if it's anywhere near where you're driving or where you're traveling, bus, whatever you're doing, you kind of really want to prioritize adjusting your route to get that cache. Whether or not there's a challenge for it, like I was saying, the world's easiest or the largest TB dog tag, there's no challenge caches for that, but it's rare and it could be fun.
Yeah,
But,
it's gonna give you a lot of good memories of the things you've achieved. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're talking about old caches, chances are they're also really cool caches, or in great locations. And this one, obviously, while there's I think there were 3 oldest county caches that I had on the list for this trip. And like I said, because it's such a huge drive to get up to Northwest Ontario and those counties are huge, you don't want to miss out. And we do have a challenge or two in Ontario for getting a certain number of oldest county caches in order to qualify. What else? There was also... I know,
You sound tired.
we also had... I also had the Algoma 1, which is the 8th oldest active cache in Ontario, and the oldest cache in Ontario that I hadn't found yet, and I had to pass up that one on the last time I did this road trip. So I made sure to get that on the list this time.
Oh, that's good. That always feels so good. It's hard to leave something behind sometimes.
Yeah, and you got to prioritize your scheduling and your timing, and yeah, I had to cut a few caches from the list on the way back, but I already know that there's going to be another trip coming up, probably next year, doing the same thing, if not earlier. So there's going to be more opportunities to get those distant ones.
Good.
What did I also have? There was one. There was one challenge cache coming back that has been on my list for the longest time, and it only has one requirement, and you can't qualify at all before finding the challenge. So what could it be? Because everything is at ALR, right? You've got to build your stats in order to qualify to sign the cache and log it as found. Well, this one, you have to drop a travel bug in the cache that's traveled 10,000 kilometers or more in order to log it as found.
Okay.
So technically, you're doing that at the same time as logging it as found or signing it. You're kind of doing it before, but yeah, you have to drop a travel bug into the cache, and so obviously you have to log that with your find or as a note, however you want to do it. But if you were to check your statistics, or this is a pre-moratorium challenge, so it would just be a matter of saying, I guess, which travel bug you dropped, and then the CO can check the stats for that travel bug to determine that you qualify. So that has been on the list because it's right off the Trans-Canada Highway, and you pass it so many times. Keep forgetting to check the travel bugs that I have because it can't be your own. It can't be a dip. There's some other requirements for it. Let's see if I can pull it up.
So that takes planning. It sounds simple, but yeah, all the things have to be just right.
You have to be prepared for that one. And it turned out to be a really great location.
Cool.
So it is the 10 years, 10,000 kilometers trackable challenge. And the requirements, scrolling down, rules. In order to log this challenge cache, you must drop a trackable item that is challenge eligible, which is then defined as having traveled a distance in excess of 10,000 kilometers, as seen on the page on geocaching.com. But there are other rules.
But wait, there's more.
Each find log must be accompanied by the drop of a unique trackable. Teams are out caching. If teams, like more than, I guess depends how you define team. But if there's more than one account, only the account that drops the travel bug can log it as found, even though you are caching together.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, for this, I get it. I get it for this cache, the way it's set up.
You can't drop off a trackable item that you own or have owned in the past and adopt it to someone else. Mm-hmm. So it has to be unique, never owned by you. And you can't. Someone else can't pick it up and drop it again.
Immediately.
So if I was with somebody else, they couldn't pick it up and drop it to qualify.
Yeah.
No,
This guy thought it through.
That would be kind of like the FTF tracking, right? You wouldn't be able to do it in the same day. Maybe. Well, it would have to travel. I don't know. That seems to be like probably a cache owner judgment call.
Right.
If it's grabbing and dropping an item that's obviously not intended to be left in a cache, like a vehicle travel bug, isn't practical. The other trackable items must be physically left in the ammo can for the next player. So no, you can't drop and pick up your traveling vehicle in order to qualify. And it does qualify as it does serve as a travel bug hotel, obviously, as well.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah, and it's at a beautiful location. It's also in an upcoming video.
Great.
It was a great cache, great way to round off the whole road trip. This trip was, if you were watching some of Dave, London Westy, Cache Canada, Dave and Karen's social media posts, they've shared some, and I've shared a few photos as well. We were going to visit Jimmy's Castle, which is a virtual cache out in the wilderness of northwestern Ontario, but it's a historical landmark and is being kept up by volunteers and donations. And the value and the meaning of that location will be explained in upcoming videos from both of us. But it is a historical location. It has quite a backstory. And I think a lot of people in Ontario know about this location and eventually will probably get around to visiting it, if they haven't already. It either requires a very long camping trip to get to, or a canoe trip, or a very short float plane trip, which is what we did as a group of 8.
I saw that. That looked exciting.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
So that was,
can't wait to see
that
it.
was the main
then.
target of the trip. Yeah. And so Cache Canada was doing that. I'm pretty sure that they've also found a whole bunch of caches and targets for challenges. I know they're working on their Earth Cache Fizzy Grid.
I know.
I can't remember what their current stats are for that, but I think they're just maybe 4 or 5 DTs away from a full Earth Cache
Oh,
Fizzy.
that's
which is
awesome. Can't wait to hear about that then. We'll feature that on the show.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get them on to talk about that one.
That's intense, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
The one other series that I wanted to mention for this topic was the Road to GCD. If you don't know what GCD is, it is Geocache. That's all the oldie geocaches were called Geocache because I think that was before they had titles in the database.
Right.
So I've actually visited that cache a couple of times. It is at the top of a mountain hidden by hide and seek in June of 2000. It is a coveted Jasmer cache, and you can see the terrain. It is a fairly steep climb. If we switch over to, let's say, world imagery, that'll show what it looks like. So from the main road coming along down at the base, you can see that the trail zigzags that you have to climb to get up to the top of this mountain to find GCD.
And this is hiking.
This is hiking. The road, you can drive up part ways, but there's a parking spot maybe about a quarter way up or so, and you've got to hike the rest of the way. And it is a steep incline. Not a long hike, but a short horizontal distance and a fast climb height. But I mean, it's a beautiful location. You get to the top, you've got a ridge, you can look out and you can see the other mountains. But there were, now there's a few other caches also placed along that hiking trail for people to find. But the thing that I wanted to raise was that there is a challenge series on the road to GCD. Now, this challenge series is in the shape of a D, I guess because GCD.
D.
But they created it using that little loophole where you can put because you have to provide the location of the cache, they provide the final waypoint, which is the location of the cache. So the posted coordinates are the GeoArt, but you basically look at the final waypoint to know where the cache is. And until HQ decides to show found caches at their updated coordinates, you can't really see it on this map. Cachely will show it. But the point is, all of these caches in the D, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 caches are all challenge caches. And you can find them as you're driving your way to the parking location for GCD.
Okay.
The reason I want to mention is because these caches these challenges are not necessarily all that easy. They're relatively low difficulties, but they, remember we mentioned before that a lot of difficulties can be related to your own region. So I think some of these challenges might be easier over here, like over where the caches are, and not necessarily where I'm at or where you're at.
Okay.
So we saw these and thought, okay, we got to collect them. We've got to find them, sign them. And at that time, when I went through that route, I think I qualified for maybe three or four of them. So signed them all, stuck them in a bookmark list, and every so often check back to see if I qualify. And now, as we can see, there's one cache that I haven't, and that's number 6.
That's going to fill in the bottom of that D.
Yeah. And that number 6 challenge is the 4.5 difficulty, which is a challenge along the way to GCD, who have found at least 100 geocaches in at least 10 states or 10 provinces or 10 territories, boroughs, or countries. So it's basically you need to have 100 caches in 10 different regions. And there because it's a pre-moratorium, there's no included challenge checker. But if I turn on my Project GC browser plugin, there is a challenge checker in the sidebar. So someone has created a challenge checker and associated it with GCD, or this particular challenge. So if I were to open that checker, it as a premium member, it already shows that I don't qualify. But you go to that checker, say run the checker, and it gives you a little breakdown. This particular challenge is using a script that I don't necessarily find all that helpful. It only shows, it tells you what you have qualified, but then it only shows like 1 or 2 close maybe to qualify. So you kind of have to do a little more research to figure out everything else that you need to qualify. So it's showing me I have 92 in North Carolina, and I have 5 regions with 100 fines. So I still need 5 more regions, and it's only showing North Carolina with 92. So yeah, you'd have to use probably GSAC or your profile statistics maps to see what regions have the most fines and whatnot. Yeah. It requires a little more traveling, probably a little easier for people in the U.S. because you've got so many states that you can get to. Ontario, not so much.
Right.
Scrolling down in the map to United States is the best bet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th is North Carolina, and then 72 in Washington, 51 Oregon. So I've got a lot to go and a bunch of other states.
Gotcha.
So it's going to take a lot for someone in Canada to finish that challenge.
That's cool. I like it. I want to check my own stats out on that challenge. I'm curious. Yeah. And in the chat, Kitty Catch says she only has 1 challenge left in that D that she needs to qualify for. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
She said it's number 7, find at least 1,000 fines for at least 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember seeing those ones right now. I've got another one similar to that I'm working on in Ontario, which is 2,000 fines for 3 years. And it's like once you get 1 or 2 years and you see that you're on the way, you just can't stop because then you have to start all over again. If you fail.
Yes, for sure. Now, I want to say something. Those plugins, I was trying to log some caches while I was in Utah on my mom's computer, and I missed them. She didn't have the plugins. And so I didn't realize how much I end up using those on a regular basis. And we do get a lot of questions. So Kitty Cash did ask, what did you turn on so you could see the checker? And we get that question a lot. So do you want to say a quick note about Project GC plugins?
Yeah, we might need to add a little bit of information on the Challenge Talk webpage on geocachetalk.com because we tend to show it in every episode, and explaining all the details in every episode might be a little much. So, yes, to recover it briefly, on the Project GC homepage, you'll, I believe it's in, where was it? Yes, under the Home tab at the top, go down to web browser extension, and it'll give you all the information to install that in your browser. It works under Grease Monkey and Tamper Monkey for Firefox and Chrome, and they say it's not been tested on Opera Next and Safari, but if it runs under Tamper Monkey, then it should. So basically, your browser has the ability to have plugins, and so Grease Monkey and Tamper Monkey are a plugin that allows you to create your own scripts. So what Project GC has done is created a script that you can install into the Grease Monkey or Tamper Monkey browser plugin, and that allows you to get a whole lot more features on the geocaching.com website.
Yeah, and you can choose your features. So I have a lot of them turned off, and I just turned on the ones that I get instant value out of. And then if I want something else, I can turn it back on. But some of the features I have turned on are, is it the latest 5 logs? They give you little symbols at the top to show, is this a quick view? Does this have a bunch of DNFs? Has it been maintained lately? We have the checker there on the side, and I use something at the top. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it'll even on challenges, it'll tell you if there's any concerns about anyone who logged found it, and they might not necessarily qualify. It's not foolproof, but it's there's a lot of good tools built into this plugin that you can customize.
The little, and the little addition on the side here as well is it already tells you if you found it, where your log is and what the date is, but Project GC also gives you a little update to say how many logs it's found on that cache. So if you log notes or DNFs and other things on there, it'll tell you how many logs you've got on there, which is nice for challenge cache.
It's nice because the gc.com doesn't show you that. They only have that found it feature. So logs don't show up for yourself there without that plugin.
Yeah. And there are other plugins as well, which we could probably cover. There's the GC Little Helper 2, which adds a whole lot of additional extra features that aren't necessarily challenge related. Just little tweaks and whatnot, especially on the geocaching map. There's also the geocaching map enhancements plugin, or script, which adds additional map types, map styles, and a number of widgets on the pop-ups and lots of information. So there's little things like that people have thought would be so useful to have available, and they've managed to make scripts for it. So we'll add
something to play around with
the show notes.
Yeah, and something to play around with, and just customize to what you want.
Yeah, and yes, Kitty Cash just said that she installed it. But you shouldn't have to maybe the plugin, so maybe Grease Monkey or Tamper Monkey, but the script should run if you just refresh the page, as long as it's installed properly. Has there been anybody who's done a road trip or planned for challenges in chat?
I didn't see too many folks saying what they have planned. So if you have it planned, let us know. What I need to do is there's a challenge. There's a few spots in Oregon that have challenge series. And every time I take a trip, it's not necessarily been to find just those. And I find a challenge if it's right where I'm going to be anyways. So I need to make some specific trips to challenge concentrated areas. So I need to work on that personally. Kitty Catch says so many. Just finding our way. He did 8,500 miles. I know we talked a little bit. He was targeting some challenge caches. Gary B has plans. So we do have some folks with plans.
And that's the thing, that becomes a vacation. If you can love geocaching, but when you do a road trip and plan it all around geocaching, it's a whole different type of vacation.
Yeah.
Gary
last month found hundreds of challenges in Florida. And
all qualified. That's impressive.
Well, he submitted. Whoops, I put the wrong one on there. He submitted over 200 finds to challengetalkpodcast.com or at gmail.com, you know? So yeah, he's busy. And I think he said he surpassed 3,000 challenge cache finds in this past month. So super awesome.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Love
Yeah,
it.
and the depending on how many people in your region love challenge caches, you might get things like challenge power trails. Because I know in Southern Ontario, kind of like GCD, in Southern Ontario we have a few power trails, both land and water, of challenge caches.
Cool.
It's like
cool. And I like those power trails because it really, you know, it's someone who's creative. They're thinking of different ways to challenge you. And then in turn, as we've said before here, it gets you thinking about what can I target in my personal geocaching if you don't meet all the requirements.
And what I like about those types of power trails is when they have a variety of difficulties, because then at least you know that if you were to set out and do, say, a float day and find 50 caches along the river, and they're all challenge caches, but you only qualify for 5, you know that you're going to sign into all of them, and now you have a whole load of goals to work towards as well.
Yeah.
But you still get to find some and sign all of them.
And have a really great float. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were to place a power trail of challenge caches, don't make them all ridiculously hard. Provide some variety.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. And then it can also tempt beginners and other people to go through and find some, especially the easy ones in the middle, because then you're going to want to find them all along the way as well.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah. So thinking about priorities for while traveling, or when planning for your travels, types of caches that you want to put higher on the priority list. What would you put on the top of that list?
I don't know. Here's why I say I don't know. Because I have encountered, so I'm also planning on going caching in Georgia. So I've been looking at challenges there. What do I need to do to qualify? And, you know, some of them I found, and they're like, you must have found these caches in Georgia. And I'm like, well, my trip is too already planned out. I can't then go and add all the extra caching in Georgia just to qualify that for that one challenge. So when I say I don't know, you know, other than, of course, I'm going to target the old ones if I can. Of course, I'm going to target unique icon types if I can. And then so I almost have to know what the challenge is before I can make that plan. Because sometimes I really thought I qualified for one of the challenges, and then I read closer and it was like, find them all in Georgia. And no, everything's out the window.
Yeah. I would say probably one of the first things I would do is look for or recheck all of the challenge caches that you've found and signed but haven't yet qualified for.
True.
Especially the higher difficulty ones. Because if those require rare caches and you've already qualified, or you've already found the challenge cache, you'll want to qualify and not miss out. So I would look for the caches that are required to qualify for those. I'd put right up at the top the oldest caches along the route, primarily, firstly, Jasmer holes. So if you look at the Jasmer grid on the Project GC stats, if there's any holes in that grid, then do some specific searches for those months, and then see if they're anywhere near the. I'm looking up the grid right now. See if they're anywhere near the route that you're taking. And you know,
there's one in Georgia. An old one, Beavers, that I cannot get because every time I go for going caching, they physically remove it so that it is not found by the going caching crowds. And so I would have to travel to Georgia at another time of year any other time than going caching to be able to find that old one. So that hurts a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you would do is go to your finds by hidden month. It's in Project GC, and I believe it's also in the geocaching profile stats. But you'd look for whatever months have the least number of finds. So I've completed 2 loops of the Jasmer, so I would look for my July and August 2000. I think are the only 2 that are at 2. Everything else is up. So I would try to target July 2000 and August 2000 caches on a long road trip. Now, though obviously for me, those are extremely rare, and there's like only a handful in North America. But if you're still working on a Jasmer, look for those empty squares and search for those months specifically.
Yeah.
A lot of them, especially the older ones, will already be in bookmarks, bookmark lists for people who've either found them or made a list of Jasmer qualifying caches. So it's not
because
too
so many
hard
of
to
us
find
want
them.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I would prioritize that as
And
well.
you reminded me, a lot of those badges, I'll take a look at badges, whether it's on Project GC or my geocaching profile, and I'll see how many more of a cache type or whatever the badge is about. How many more do I need to go up to the next badge level? I'll look at stuff like that too. I feel like my next jump for Earth caches is infinitely large number. So I'm just always looking for an Earth cache, of course, because I feel like I've been working on that jump forever.
Yeah. And so another one I would prioritize is, again, looking at your fizzy grid, check for those holes in the DTs or find out what your next fizzy loop count would be. And then, especially if there's a challenge for, say, an even number like 10, 15, 20, or 50 or whatever, then try to work on those squares that have the least number of DTs. And then, yeah, bump those up. If you've got qualified challenges, yeah, I mentioned that one. The California Fizzy is another one, only because it's so unique and rare. I would say specifically look for DTs published before the California Fizzy date. Around here in Ontario, we have one that's similar, but I think it's a few months or a year or 2 later, called Tequila 81 Proof, which is exactly the same, completing a fizzy grid before of caches published before that cache. Yeah, and then obviously searching for lower down the priority list, looking for caches with high favorite counts.
Oh yeah.
For one, because they're probably going to
They're going to be great.
great locations, experiences, and 2, because there are plenty of challenges out there about collecting favorite points.
Right, in some combination. Yeah.
So that's definitely something to look forward to as well.
And Kitty Catch, yeah, she posted. That's kind of everything we're talking about is what she's doing, focusing on difficulty terrain for loops, then oldies, then high difficulty terrain, large caches. Oh, that's a good point. And high favorite points. Large caches are hard to come by, so that's
as well.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Micros are prolific.
Oh, I know. My what is that? My average difficulty terrain average. Yeah, the micros are always pulling that down.
And on that note, even looking for certain quantities of other properties like types and sizes, there are some challenges that look for a certain number of all the different sizes of cache. And virtual, like some of these virtual not chosen and other are extremely rare now.
Yeah.
As well. So increasing those ones, basically, like a lot of the stuff we talk about is really just rounding out your stats.
Exactly.
Like
and
you're
even
looking for the least to bump it up.
Right. And, you could look to have a well-rounded day, even if there's not a challenge for it, try to find all the different sizes in one day or whatever combo of difference you want to try to find all in one day.
Yeah.
Jim says, oh, yeah, look for caches owned by owners that start with odd letters and numbers, Q, Z, 5, 8, etc. Yeah. When I was finishing that challenge, that seemed to be the hardest, is finding not the cache names, but the cache owners with some of those less frequent characters.
Yeah. And they can be super rare. But those pre-moratorium challenges are still there, and until they get archived,
Yeah,
really
and you
get those
know,
out of the way.
I still feel like I encounter more pre-moratorium challenges than not wherever life takes me. So, yeah, I'm always encountering those types of challenges that are still odd compared to today's rules. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to loop it back to my other one with the GCD, look for challenges that maybe you don't qualify for, but can be fun, or maybe you're on your way to qualifying. Don't miss out on finding and signing them, because if it basically, you are finding that cache. If you're on your way to qualifying, eventually you're going to be able to log that as found.
Right.
So
I wasn't going to
find
pass
it
up
and
the
sign it.
365 streak. I don't ever foresee that happening where I live. Who knows if I'll ever move? And that'll be super easy. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be on the list, and then maybe years down the road you qualify. I've still got a few challenge caches that I signed years ago. I haven't yet qualified for. Eventually, they'll be turned into a smiley face.
A smiley. Yeah.
That's right. So there's so much we can talk about traveling and challenge caching. We're already an hour into the show. It's stories
We love it.
as well as inspiration and goals, all that stuff. So yeah,
And you are our people who
live,
get our affinity for all of this. So, you know, thank you, audience.
Yeah.
You know, everything we're saying, it's who you guys are too.
And if you're not watching live, then by all means add a comment to the YouTube or wherever you're listening or watching, and share your stories and your challenges. And as always, as usual, send an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com if you have any stories or challenges that you've qualified for, anything you'd like to share, and we can share it on the show in the future as well.
Yeah.
But we got to move on to our Wheel of Challenges. I really need to get a good recording for that.
You do pretty good.
This is the time of the show where one live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the wheel and have a chance to win the grand prize, which is a 1-year membership on Project GC. So, to enter, send an email with a subject containing "Spin Me," followed by your geocaching username in brackets, and the answer to the following question. And that question is, what is the name of the new geocaching souvenir challenge? That should hopefully we should hopefully get some answers.
Some quick
coming in pretty
answers
quick for
here.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kitty Catch said, not everyone wants to talk about challenges. Yeah. So yeah, you guys, thank you for joining us. You have found your community with us. No, don't I know it?
Challenge Cachers Anonymous.
There we go.
That's
so us. Meets every first Thursday of the month right here.
Yep. We have a first person who has sent in the email, and that is Amy Zachmeyer, Glowworm77.
It's Amy's first live view too. So, all right, Amy, let's see if you meet the qualifications for where the wheel lands.
And if only you could tap the spin, but we'll do it for you. Spin that wheel. So this Wheel of Challenges has a whole bunch of challenges, all of different difficulty levels. And she has spun GC8GT8M Quadruple Grid Challenge.
Oh, that's huge.
And what is that one?
I'm a
5 difficulty. It is it's Just Finding Our Ways Challenge Cache.
Awesome.
It was published 2019, post-moratorium. It's in Arizona. And the challenge is you must currently have all 4 of your personal profile grids filled completely. That includes the Fizzy grid, the months placed or Jasmer challenge, the dates found grid, not including February 29th, and the dates placed grid.
Okay, that's a lot easier. I was just presuming it was like a 4-time Fizzy or something.
That may or may not be difficult. But yeah, we have one here that's very similar called the Master Cacher. I think it was only 3 grids. I can't remember if it was all 4. But yeah, these are the most common grids: Fizzy, Jasmer, date found, and date placed. Okay, so
I like it.
Let's see if Glowworm77, I'm going to type it exactly, because exactly as she sent it through. Capital L, Glow, and 1W, Glowworm 77. Okay, so it doesn't, capital doesn't matter. Run that checker. Does not
Oh,
qualify. 366 days completed for the first one. This checker. Okay, so this is the. Wait.
so yes,
It doesn't
on
explain the
366 filled. Yeah.
The challenge date allows leap days to be skipped. Okay, but it doesn't explain which grids are which. Placed or
They both
found
look
one of
full.
these two grids is complete. See, script writers can write the scripts, but they almost need somebody else to present the results in a useful way.
And that's a good
But, yeah.
point. Some of them present beautiful results and some of them just present data. I don't know the
Yeah.
difference. That's for another
and some
show.
some cache owners want to see all the details, and some script checkers don't give you any details. They just said, yes, qualified.
Yeah, some of them
but,
have pretty
so-
pictures and all that good stuff.
One grid is at 365 out of 366, and the DT grid is very close. And the Jasmer. And so
July, okay, Amy, there you go. July
July
of
2000
2000.
and July August of 2021.
Oh yeah, that's easy.
That's the one fun thing about Jasmer. Every time you enter a new month, you could suddenly unqualify because you haven't found a cache placed that month.
Yep.
So
Yep.
something else. to
Oh
look forward
yeah, we've talked about it, but I had the pandemic anxiety over that one.
to. So almost, but not quite. But thank you for participating. Woohoo!
Yeah, thanks for tuning in tonight.
So we also like to highlight listeners who send in proof of qualifying and logging a challenge cache since the last show, and anyone who sends an email to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with a GC code and a found it log, including a photo if you'd like to share, or a story for that month, will be entered for a prize giveaway for a Challenge Talk Geocoin. And this-
Yeah.
I've got it. Beautiful coin. I love it. So Emily has gone through and picked a few this month.
Yeah,
see,
so
what she's picked out.
Sure. So we heard from Roadie Guy, who found the Sound of Music challenge, and I liked this one. I immediately wanted to copy it, but then I want to be original too. So maybe I'll be inspired by it. I liked that this had the different songs from the movie, and from that song, the owner found a type of cache or something related to caching. So the hills are alive with the Sound of Music. That's your Earth cache part of the challenge. So this was just, of course, my favorite things: caches with find a cache with at least 50 favorite points. So that was I liked that. It's I believe this one's post-moratorium, and it's very statistical based with things that can be easily found, easily assessed, but with just such a creative spin to it.
Yeah, this is a good one actually, because it's just a list of a certain, what is it, 10 different or 9 different statistical values, but it's themed around the movie.
And that
So
makes
this is a great
things
example of-
fun.
Yeah, instead of just listing this number of this type, this number of this property, whatever, they actually based those statistics around the movie. And so I love seeing that, because it's a little more involving, and if you love Sound of Music, then you might just want to complete it because Sound of Music.
Because yeah. Yeah. And so Glowworm 77, Amy sent us in one. This was one that I noticed in my preparation for visiting North Dakota for this trip, but I wasn't going to accomplish it. The North Dakota Hometown Challenge 100. And so this is finding caches in 100 different North Dakota towns. I knew I was not going to get to 100 on my short trip. But Amy's done it as a person who lives in North Dakota.
If only this one was on the wheel.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't see it as much these days, maybe in some regions, but yeah, another cache published by the regional group of geocaching.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you might see a little badge on those caches for that region's association of some kind. And I know that used to be a lot bigger in the past.
I still
Fewer
do it on
geocaches.
every cache I hide so that if there's any newbies, they know that there's a group and they can join us. I have a hyperlink to
idea.
our Facebook group so that they can find us really easily.
Mhm.
Know that there's a community out there.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of hoping that they just find event caches.
Right. And I don't even think some people know what that is. So, every little thing I can do to involve folks, I try to do that.
Yeah.
So let's see. Zippertiff found a cache that she signed the log 6.5 years ago and finally qualified in July. And so that's the lower 48 challenge, 48 caches. Yeah. So I wanted to highlight that your patience paid off for finding
Yeah.
caches in all 48 states.
Yeah, all 40 of the lower. So the lower 48. That's not including
Alaska and Hawaii.
Hawaii. Hawaii's
Yeah.
lower, isn't it? Or is it higher?
Well, it's lower, but it's not contiguous. So
Yeah.
that's usually it. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah. Another submission, Merlin 1392 found a 12 different icon challenge and said this is typically an easy challenge for a seasoned cacher, but also very good for new players as they get to experience different cache types. That's so true. I still want to do some kind of icon challenge, especially now that things are opened up again. Things are easier for cachers to access. The pandemic was keeping that kind of challenge down for me, but I still have that plan because I agree. It really gives everyone something to work towards.
Yeah, and now there are a few more icons than there used to be. I think 12 or 13 was tough to get, but now there's a couple of things like community celebration events. Well, that was Lost and Found, which is switched over. But I think there's a couple more icons. They're still kind of rare, but there's a wider selection. And so there's a lot of these challenges to get X number of icons in a day even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That takes planning.
It does take planning.
That's another good planning thing for when you're going to a mega event or a giga event. Icon days.
Yeah.
That's a show. That's a topic for a whole other show.
Sure. Now here, Acorn Mama found the alphanumeric by cache name challenge, which we've kind of even already mentioned in the show. But she said, your show has opened my eyes to many kinds of challenges and techniques I would have never thought of on my own. Thanks for enriching my geocaching fun. So I just wanted to say that.
Awesome.
So thank you, because that's our goal here. We're glad it's giving you more ideas in your geocaching life.
Mm-hmm. And like this is one of the old types of challenges, but they were, in my opinion, one of the funnest types because, I mean, yeah, you had to do a lot of note taking and your own searching, like to qualify for this. It was a lot of work, but it was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. And then you also had things like finding caches that start with the letters of your geocaching name or the city where you're located, things like that. There's other ways to be thematically relevant to the challenge and fun, but because it required bookkeeping and all that, we're no longer allowed to create these challenges. You got to get them while they're not archived.
Before they're gone. Yeah. Just two more. Curious KDB found Max D's Contiguous Counties Challenge. 5 states were required, but she qualified with 9 states. So that's awesome.
Nice.
That is something I know so many people work on connecting their counties, and I just haven't gone there yet. I know it's a thing to try to do. We each have something that really speaks to us. That's not the one that really, really draws me in. I'll definitely try to get them, but some folks really go for that. So congrats on that. And with 4 over the requirement.
Yeah, and this is just adjacent counties. So, I mean, if you were to complete a county challenge in your state or province, then you'd pretty much already qualify.
Yeah,
Right.
with one.
And I'm assuming this can cross borders. I didn't check all the details and the clarifications.
Well, state borders.
Yeah, there are.
It's looking for U.S. counties.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you could do this in a short road trip in most places. So
Yeah,
this is a great excuse to do a road trip.
Exactly. And then finally, I like this one. Pretty simple concept, but at the same time takes a lot of work. Korsgat found I'm going to get it wrong, but they gave me the English, the Happy Hiker Challenge.
Challenge den Glade Vandrer.
Thank you.
Butchered it.
And so the requirements are to log an amount of caches with different attributes regarding the hiking distances. So there's 3 different attributes for that. I think they're on the cache page. Yeah. Long hike, medium hike, and short hike. And they're looking for 5 long, 100 medium, and 100 short. Am I reading that right?
Yep.
I was curious. I checked out my stats. I do not qualify. I need a few more long hikes. But yeah, so simple, but commitment to something where, if you're just typically getting all the caches you can, and you have to take some time, plan some outings, dedicate the time to the hikes.
Yeah, and those short or medium hikes, depending on the cache owner, they might add that attribute to some power trails. If it's a rail trail, they might add it maybe to the middle ones, or maybe all of them if they think that you're going to do all of them as a series. You can get creative in searching for some of these attributes.
Yes, you can. All right. So thank you for everyone who contributed. We don't get to read them all, but we certainly enjoy to hear what you guys are doing, and everyone who contributes is entered into the drawing.
That's right. And so we choose from everybody who submitted randomly for winning one of the Challenge Talk Geocoins. And this month's winner is Curious KDB.
Yay! Congratulations.
We'll be in touch to get your mailing or destination so we can get you that coin ASAP. And I don't know if you've got other coins from the Geocache Talk Network series, but it'll be one to add to the collection, even if it's your first.
Yes. And on that note, if you want those coins, buy them while they're available, because they won't be reminted. And so that link is on the Geocache Talk website to our store.
Yes, I believe it was geocachetalk.com/store.
Sounds good. It's an easy link at the top.
Store. There it is.
Yeah.
And we've got t-shirts, especially Challenge Talk t-shirts, and all the other shows as well, and coins and a bunch of products. So make sure you go check that out. Every show I like to do a little bit of a recap on my own one challenge that I published just at the end of pre-moratorium, just before the moratorium came in, called the Iron Man Bingo Challenge. It is GC3D5EB, and it is a challenge where you need to, I keep track of my own stats as well, where you need to qualify and complete a bingo grid, and where each square is some type of streak. It could be a streak of certain ratings or sizes, attributes. The center square is 100 days of geocaching or finding caches, logging them as found. Got to detail that out in the description just so that it's clear. And it's not an easy one. It's pre-moratorium, which means I myself don't yet qualify. And I've been looking at it because I got to qualify for it eventually. But I have... So there's details for each square, and there is now a challenge checker that will, as much as it can, inform what you qualify for. There are some that there are no checkers for, and there can't be. So you need to still check those for yourself. But I keep a list of people who've qualified for rows and columns and certain shapes, and I'm giving a little bonus for people who complete or first to complete certain shapes, and for anybody who completes the full card. So there's been only a handful, not even a handful of people who've finished and filled out the entire card. Some of them within that 100-day minimum for the center square, which is insane. But every month you check to see back if anybody has been working on it or qualifies. And we have 2 new people who have qualified and completed the whole grid. And that's Hulu Juicy and Miko Pit. I'm not sure where they're based. I haven't checked yet, but probably I'm assuming that they are Challenge Talk listeners, because they there was one comment that said, at the moment the physical logbook is a bit hard to get to for us. So just a note for now that they qualified.
Not in Ontario.
That's awesome. So there are people
well
working on this.
done. Yes.
If you are working, let us know if you're working on this, because love to know what people's progress is on completing some of these, completing the full grid. So I've extended that challenge for completing the full grid. Anybody who qualifies will get one of the special geocoins that I'm working on getting minted this year, and we'll send them out to you if you complete the full card, with extra special kudos if you do it within the 100-day minimum.
And Miko's in the chat. We are from Finland.
Yay! Hello, Miko.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it has been a fun month. I'm tired. I'm a little hungry, and I haven't cleaned up from my trip yet. So, yeah. That's the rest of this night for me.
Well, it's certainly been fun talking about, we love talking about challenges, whether it's from you guys, and it's fun to talk about our challenge experiences sometimes. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, the next show will be the first Thursday of September, as always, and it is September 2nd, and the topic will be determined and announced very soon. Until then,
stay tuned.
Thank you, everybody. In chat for joining us live. And remember, once again, email us anything that you want. We love hearing from you. challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com. And you might get a mention and whatnot on the show. My brain is just mush right now.
Time for some rest. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Geoff. Thanks for getting home just in time.
Just barely. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next month.
Good night.